All right. It is 4:05. We are going to get started. My name is Ginya Young. I am the program director for the Marriage and Family Therapy and Art Therapy program here at LMU. Some of you, we may have already corresponded via email, or we may have met or spoken on the phone. Um, and so now you have a face to that, and continue those communications as well, even after this event. We also have one of our current graduate students, M, with us that's going to help this evening and put some information in the chat, and help me with questions. Uh, how the evening is going to go is I'm just going to do an overview of the program itself. I'm going to go into what the course schedule will look like. I really want to spend some time with the admissions requirements because that tends to be where most people have questions. Um, and then we'll have Q&A afterwards for anything that I may not have covered. Um, and then maybe I'll mention other opportunities to kind of get to know the program as well. But what I'd like to also say is thank you for being here, whether you are intending to apply for the fall 2026 school year or a class, or if you're just thinking about applying and just looking at different programs. We appreciate your presence here. We know that you have lots of choices. Um, we also know that our admission process is quite detailed and lengthy, but I hope that you're actually getting something for yourself out of completing that process. Um, and also know that all of that is not to make things difficult for you, but kind of gives you some idea of how seriously we take what we do. We're responsible for others, um, and for other communities, and we are very proud of the work that we do, but we also take it very seriously. And hopefully the process helps you get to know also a little bit about our program as well and what you're getting yourself into. Um, but let's go ahead. I'm going to start the slide presentation now. Again, as questions come up or you need me to clarify something I'm going over, because I'm going to go through some things really quickly, put them in the chat. Em's going to help me organize some of those things. If I need to stop at any point to clarify something, and will let me know that. But if there's some questions that kind of can wait to the end, there will be a Q&A at the end as well. All right. Okay. Em, can you just let me know if you see the screen okay? Okay, perfect. All right. So again, welcome to our Marital and Family Therapy specialized training in art therapy program. So what I want you to start to think about as I go through this material is you want to think about this as a dual degree program. We don't call it that, but essentially you are meeting the educational requirements for a marital and family therapy license in the state of California, and also for an art therapy registration, which is more of a national registration, not just for the state. So we have the 60 units because you are meeting requirements for those two different programs, and there are two different processes once you graduate. But all of our classes are integrated, so we do not have a separate track. You really are applying for an integrated program. And also, we are part of the College of Communication and Fine Arts here at LMU, um, which is really special to us as well, because we have a relationship with the Fine Arts and Studio Arts Department that's ongoing as well. I want to introduce you to our Dean of the College of Communication and Fine Arts, Dean Alexander. I include the dean here, not just because he's the dean, but it is one of the things that makes this program special and unique is that we have an advocate. And not all programs across universities are able to say that. He strongly supports our department and our program and our students. And so we're allowed to do a lot more with that support from our dean. And actually, when you're here, you will see him actually physically show up to many of our sponsored events as well. Um, so we're happy to have that. And again, like I said, we're part of the College of Communication and Fine Arts, which means we have graduate assistantships that are also in the studio arts department. And we also have once a year our student art therapy, student curated um, art show in the beginning of the fall semester as well over in our LeBan Gallery. And here is our co-founder and original director is Helen B. Landgarten. This is the person for whom our clinic is also named after. If you've looked through our website and you've become familiar with that. Uh, Helen was responsible for not only getting the program here at LMU, but also her interest was having people look at art therapy as a primary modality. Now, throughout this presentation, even though we do marital and family therapy and art therapy, you'll probably hear me refer and talk about the art therapy part a lot. So to also let you know a little bit about what our emphasis is in this particular marital and family therapy program that might be different in other places that don't have the art therapy specialization. So our founders and co-founders were trained art therapists. And then here's just a little description of what art therapy is. I'll let you look at that. But basically, if you're still kind of figure out what is this art therapy thing, because a lot of times when we're beginning to apply, if people find our program, they may be newer to art therapy and may not have prior experience of it. Um, and so art therapy is a mental health profession. It's not just something we do adjunctively or just as an intervention. It is an entire profession. And many people practice art therapy in different ways. And art therapy comes from counseling techniques, an idea or knowledge of human development and psychotherapy. It's how we use art media and the creative process to treat mental illness, to help with conflict and relationships and emotional well-being. And it's used across all age groups and in all different types of settings as well. I'm going to introduce you to part of our faculty and staff. So I'm introducing you to our full-time faculty and staff. We have about 15, at least 15 other part-time faculty as well that are not included here. And they are the ones who do our clinical and art therapy supervision. And they also teach some of our courses. So what's great about that as well, you have full access to our full-time faculty all the time, but we introduce people with other expertise to also teach in our courses and to supervise, so you have that experience as well. So the first person I'm introducing you to is Dr. Lavinia Jackson, chairperson and professor of our department. Dr. Jackson background is in cultural humility and cultural considerations. In cultural humility in the practice of art therapy specifically. So even if you go to other programs, you will probably be using her book as well too, but here at LMU, you have the actual writer who's available and teaching our classes as well. Then we have myself as well. So I am program director, but I also teach the supervision class for the first year practicum students, but also art therapy supervision for our second year students as well. And then we have Kathleen Fogel Richmond, who is our practicum coordinator. So this is another person you want to get to know. And if you are applying to programs in other universities, you want to ask them if they have a practicum coordinator, because not all programs do. And so she's also full-time. So Kathleen's responsibility is for coordinating practicums for our students to actually go into, because you have to meet a certain number of direct client hours before you graduate, as well as part of your degree. So she works at actually putting together all those contracts and finding a wide variety of practicums that we actually have available. She also meets with our students individually and has conversations to figure out placement for different practicums. So in some other programs, in particular MFT only programs, as a student, you may be responsible for finding your own practicum, which can be difficult to do, and hard to make those connections. Here, you're guaranteed to have two practicums, one your second semester of the program, first year, second semester if you're on the 2-year program, and then another one that's a full-length practicum your second year. But here again, we have a person who coordinates that, who assigns your clinical and art therapy supervisor, so you don't have to find your own supervisor, and maintains connection with both you, the agencies, and the supervisors for the entirety of your practicum as well. So she's also a resource. Then we have Dr. Jessica Bianchi, who is one of our assistant professors, but also is director of the Helen B. Landgarten Art Therapy Clinic. So you may have seen her name as well. And her background is in educational leadership and social justice. And so she is responsible for a lot of our community outreach programs. I'm going to talk a little bit more later about some of the things she's doing in the clinic. And she's also developing and helping provide opportunities for students, current students, to gain more hours as well through the clinic. And then we have Dr. Joyce Green, who is another assistant professor, but is also the director of our Art Therapy Research Institute. And I'll share a little bit more about that later, but is responsible for some of the faculty talks that we have that are open to all members of the LMU community, but also is in charge of our journal. We do have a research journal as well, and coordinates our research symposium every year. And her background is also in international psychology. Then we have Dr. Nancy Cho is one of our newer faculty members as well. And we're very fortunate to have Dr. Cho. Dr. Cho, before she became a
Jenny, I think you're muted.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. What was the last thing that you heard? Because I didn't realize when I was muted.
I believe you were just introducing Dr. Cho and just
Oh,
saying she was new to the program.
perfect. Thank you, Natalia. Okay, got it. Natalia's on it. So yes, so Dr. Cho's good. We didn't miss too much. Maybe you needed a break anyway. So Dr. Nancy Cho is one of our newer full-time faculty members, but she's been teaching in the program as a part-time faculty member and also as a clinical and art therapy supervisor. So she's been working with us for a while, but is newer in terms of being a full-time tenure track professor. And Dr. Nancy Cho brings something different in terms of her focus on digital tools, including generative AI. So those of you who are interested in how technology is integrated into art therapy, Dr. Joyce Green is also doing that work, but also Dr. Cho is bringing her perspective on that, and she also utilizes those tools in her own private practice. And many of our faculty members are still practicing clinicians and have their own practices or work in other capacities in addition to teaching as well. And then we have Dr. Maru Cericchio Joyner, as well with another background in international psychology, but also concentration is in grief responses and support in the workplace, and also suicide prevention and intervention. And she's done that work here in the United States, but also abroad as well. So many of our faculty have local and international experience. And what's unique about our faculty as well is that many of them, like I said, have either written or contributed to a lot of the textbooks that you'll use in this field. They are super active out in the community in speaking and education outside of LMU as well. And they're also involved in our professional organizations at the level of leadership. So they have a wide variety of experiences that they're bringing to the department as well. And then I want to make sure we introduce Tracy Gamble is our Senior Administrative Coordinator. An important person for you to know because sometimes or a lot of times she's your first person of contact. She's the one that answers the phone if you're calling the office. And also she's the person that once you enter the program will be helping you with coordinating your classes and other things as well. So we want to acknowledge Tracy Gamble as well, and she helps us coordinate a lot of different projects. If you want to know more about our individual faculty members, particularly the full-time ones, there is a faculty showcase that we offer in the spring. Just continue to look on our website, or if we have your information, we may already be sending you emails as well about that and announcing it. And that's time when you get to actually spend with the individual faculty members and see about their research and work and ask questions. Okay, so now sit back and get comfortable because we're going to get into what does it actually look like day to day in this program? What are the courses I'm going to take? What days am I going to be here? Sometimes is what we need to figure out. Those logistics can be important as well. So what I'm first going to go through is we have a 2-year and a 3-year track. The 3-year track is considered part-time, but I will say, please look at the course schedule because at some point it may not feel like full-time to you, and I want to be transparent about that. So as you're planning your work, you're planning your lives around this program, our course schedule is posted on our website. Take a look at it. So you have some kind of idea of what the workload may be like and what you're able to do. A lot of the appeal for the 3-year program is if you need to work a certain number of hours outside of the program and you need to hold on to that part-time job, that helps a little bit better. If you are responsible for others, you have children, family members, other people you are responsible for their care, sometimes spreading the classes out over 3 years can be helpful. But they're also, for some people, they learn better that way. They don't want to take 8 classes their first semester and would like to just spread out the courses, and that's a better option for their learning. And so that's something to consider as well. But what I'm going to go into detail with is the 2-year program and then show you briefly the 3-year program. And again, all of this information is on our website.
And I just put it in the chat as well if anyone wants to click that link.
Perfect. Thank you. So let me just move this over for a little bit. Okay. So first year, first semester. So all of our classes are going to be either on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. So if you need to plan your life around Monday and Friday and the weekends, we do not have courses on those days. You typically don't have any field studies or other obligations on those days. There might be volunteer opportunities or things to the clinic that if you choose to do that may happen on those days, but no course requirements. So this is going to be when you're taking classes. And you can see here, the first semester, you're in class 3 days a week. Classes start around 10 a.m. in the fall and go until 3 or 5 p.m. in the evening. And in the spring, right now, classes are starting at 8 a.m. and go till about 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So it's a full day of classes. So Tuesday, you start with art therapy studio work, introduction to mental health services. Then you're doing your art therapy literature and research. That is not your research project. You're just being introduced to research in the field of art therapy. You're doing fundamentals of marriage and family systems and introduction to law and ethics. This is when you get your child art therapy or psychotherapy, rather, not just art therapy. Your psychopathology class and psychological testing and group psychotherapy. So you can see there's quite a few classes in there that you get sort of as your foundation before spring semester you're going into your first practicum. All right. Included with our courses as well are fieldwork experiences. An example of one here is for the child psychotherapy class. We have a relationship with the Dolores Mission School. And so there you will go and spend some time at that school to work and do art with the students there. And this, you're not doing therapy. It's just you want to see what would be considered typical development of a child at this age group and have some experience interacting in that setting. Okay, so that was the first year. First semester, we're going into the first year, our second semester. So you'll see now you only in class Tuesday and Thursday, and that's because you have your first practicum experience now. So classes you're going over is marriage and family therapy. This is when you go into adolescent psychotherapy, telehealth, and contemporary practice. I know I get some questions about what are some other types of therapies or modalities that you're introduced to. That'll be in your contemporary practice class. Issues and applications. Then you start your art-based exploration of diversity, equity, and inclusion in clinical treatment, and then trauma theory and suicide assessment and prevention. And again, you'll have your practicum at this time. And again, with your practicum experience, you are assigned an on-site clinical supervisor, and you will have an art therapy supervisor. And in your first practicum, your supervision is in a group, in person. Here is another community field study that's part of the adolescent psychotherapy class. In some places that we visit is juvenile hall and a few high schools locally. And then again, so your practicum goes for about 18 weeks. So it goes to the end of the school term in May, and then you have a few weeks after the school year ends that you continue your practicum. And we started doing that recently just to ensure you get enough hours. So after the last day of school on a calendar at LMU, you usually have about 2 or 3 more weeks that you're in your practicum. And again, that's to ensure that you graduate with all of the hours that you're required for the degree. And our practicums include, again, all age ranges, all types of settings. Typically, your first practicum is in a school setting, but not always so. And this is where you learn about short-term treatment models because you only have these clients for one semester, and you spend most of that semester just figuring out what is it that I'm supposed to be doing, what is this job. But it's really important training because when you graduate and work out in the field, a lot of agencies actually do short-term treatment. It's not typical that you would work for a client for up to a year. Typically, you have 6 months max with the client, and that can be generous. And then you have to see if they meet medical necessity to continue that, but it's not very typical in many places where you work. So learning how to work inside of those short treatment models is it can be frustrating at first as you're learning, but it's a very good training model and very good experience to have because it won't be just like that here. It'll be out in the field when you're working as well. Okay, so we went through the first year. We had fall, spring semester, and then we go into summer. Before I go there, I just want to make sure there weren't any questions or clarifications about the first year in the program, because this will be the heavier part of the information. We're good? Okay. So then summer session, listen closely because you do not have to be in class all summer. So to be very specific, you do get some time to yourself. So our first summer session is required, and that's when you do your drug, alcohol, and addiction recovery treatment class, your aging and long-term care, and then there's another field study that goes with the aging and long-term care class. So during the summer session, this first session is about a week, 1 week and a day. It's not, we don't go with the regular university schedule. That's a couple of weeks. What you would do is the classes are around from like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a full day of classes, but you complete everything in 1 week. So you do get a summer break that you can plan around. Just expect to have that 1 week for the summer session one. And that usually starts around the end of May or beginning of June is when that would be scheduled. And by the way, all of our classes, because this is another question that comes up, we do not have any online or hybrid classes. All of your classes are in person and on campus. Then we have summer session 2. This is for those of you coming into the program starting in fall 2026. This used to be optional. This is now going to be part of our regular course program. So we'll be talking about it a little. So if you talk to someone else who's already done it, they may talk about it in terms of it was an optional thing they can do. It won't be optional in the future, but more information to come about that. We'll kind of talk more about how doable that is for make accommodations for that as well. But I want you to think about it in terms of something that you'll be expected to do and not just an opportunity to do. So this is our international program. This one is a hybrid program. How we've done in the past is a 1 week that's online or virtual, and another week that's in person, actually in Mexico. For many years, the program was in San Miguel de Allende. Last year or the year before, they went to Mexico City. And this coming year, we will actually be in Oaxaca, but we're still working with the same institute, Art Therapy Institute in Mexico. So there's a special art therapy credentialing program that LMU sponsors in Mexico. So you'll be in classes with other Mexican therapists who are actually in that program and taking classes with them and also doing field studies as well. So you won't be just be in class, you'll actually be out working in the community. And what that looks like is different from summer to summer. And again, Dr. Green is in charge of that program. Okay, we're in our final year, right? It's going to go by quick. You're almost there. You had this great summer and you come back. So your third semester, you'll notice now you're only in class on Tuesdays. So you go from 3 days a week to now 1 day a week. And the reason we have that is because now you're in a 20-hour per week practicum. And the 20 hours includes direct client service, but it also includes your art therapy time. I mean your supervision time for your art therapy and clinical supervision and note taking and things like that. So that's all included in the 20 hours. It's not just 20 hours of direct client hours and then addition over that. But what your schedule is for your practicum depends on your practicum site. So then you may be working on a Monday or Friday or some other day. That's up to whatever arrangements that you've made at your practicum. But in terms of classes, all of your classes will be on a Tuesday. And that's from around 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's typically at least the schedule right now. And that's when you go into cultural considerations, assessment, intervention of intimate partner violence and abuse. And then this is when you start research methodology. So you are required to complete research in the program. in order to graduate. Right now, how our research program is set up is that you'll typically do the research in groups and under the supervision of one of our full-time faculty members. So they'll have different projects or themes or topics that they're working on, and you'll be working with them on that. On occasion, there are a few people who have done individual projects if those have been approved, but typically I want you to think about you'll be doing this research as a group or in smaller pods or groups. The advantage of doing that I've seen so far is that some people who have completed those theses with their faculty member also had the opportunity to get published by the time they graduated. Because some of that work has already been done, or they've already made the connections, meaning the faculty member, that they're presenting their research right away, and they're also getting published and having their name on printed work right away. So that's the advantage of that model. And then so for our practicum, right here for the second year is for 34 weeks. Because so again, you're doing the full school year. In your practicum this time is 20 hours a week. Again, you're working with the range of models for your clients and individual groups, families, and in many, many different types of settings. This is considered a more long-term treatment model. So you get a different kind of experience. First it was short-term, now it's long-term, but again, you still will get an on-site clinical supervisor, which we will make sure that you have. So again, you don't have to go find your own supervisor or work that out yourself. And you will have an off-site art therapy supervisor. What's different your second year is that typically you can meet with your art therapy supervisor. It'll just be one-on-one. So just be maybe one or two of you. And so you get more individualized supervision in your second year. Then I want to show you. So here is our practicum map. Don't worry, I don't intend for you to be able to read all those tiny words of all the places where our students have worked, but I just want you to give you the idea of the area that we cover. So our practicums are all over Southern California, as far as south as San Diego, but they also go as far as north as Ventura and Santa Barbara County. There have been instances as well when, especially for our students who are commuting great distances, for example, like Santa Barbara, that's 2 hours away from us, if they have a location that's closer to them, sometimes with enough time, we've been able to work out contracts to have our students get their hours there. So they don't have to do the commuting to another agency or placement. So some of our placements that we have come from our students or other partnerships or collaborations. And so we have new practicums all the time. And again, they're spread out all over. And there is an interview process, and you do work with our practicum coordinator on those things. Now, the other thing I like to share is I know a lot of times you may come in thinking you know exactly who you want to work with and what kind of work you want to do. And you may be able to do that, but we also ask you to just be open to other experiences because you just never know. So she does try to match you as much as possible, but also be a little open about that as well. But she also will take into considerations if there's some populations or places or circumstances where you just cannot as well. But also she takes into consideration your other responsibilities outside of your coursework. So if you need to work someplace that only has day hours or evening hours or weekends or something like that, to the best of her ability, she will work with you on that. She can't always accommodate every need, but she does make an effort. Let's see. I want to say some of the practicums, I wanted to list some of them for you here. Domestic violence shelter. We work in a lot of different schools, do outpatient services, in-home services. bedside support for clients who are in hospitals as well, do community mental health, early intervention, day treatment programs, work with adults and students with autism, and vets as well, and also work in substance abuse as well. So many different ranges. All right, you're in your last semester, about to graduate. Here we go, can't wait. See those smiling faces? It's a lot of hard work, but I promise those smiles are genuine. In fact, I think that picture is from like the last week of school as well too, or last week of classes. So again, you only have class on Tuesday because your focus is on your practicum. By now you're taking clinical studies, you're taking human sexuality, professional ethics and identity. Now, in that class, you actually go over law and ethics again, and they have you do a practice test for the law and ethics test that's required after you graduate in order to apply for your licensure. So we try to prep you before you graduate for that exam as well. And then this is where you're continuing in your same research groups and finishing off and completing your research paper. And you also, as well, what we've started is you'll do case presentations too. So you get to share the work that you're doing in individual practicums with our program community. And again, you're continuing in the same program as in, same practicum as in the fall. Okay, let me pause because I said a lot of words. Then to make sure, is there anything specific about that program I should address now?
I was just about to answer one in the chat. Someone was asking about if the MFT is art therapy specific or if you can specialize in something else, which I was going to say is not likely possible. It's all the classes combine elements of art therapy and MFT.
Thank you, and that's correct. And let me clarify that too. So our program name is Marital and Family Therapy with specialized training in art therapy. No, there are no other specializations. And all of our classes, so those requirements for the art therapy credential and for the marital and family therapy license are integrated in most, if not all of our classes. You can't tease them out. There's not two separate tracks. So you would be getting the requirements for both within your classes. And what that looks like is, again, we meet all the content requirements for those programs that are required by the Board of Behavioral Sciences or by the Art Therapy Credential Board. But in your classwork, you may be doing some art making or talking about how would you apply an art therapy intervention in these different clinical situations. So there is art making, art discussion involved in our classes as well in one shape or form. Now, all of our professors in all of your classes, particularly with the part-time teachers, may be art therapists, but usually there's some connection in that part of it as well. So the 3-year program, again, it's the same courses. They're just spread out over a 3-year term. And then your first practicum wouldn't start your first year. It would actually start your second year. And then your second practicum, you would have your final year in the program. And you can just look over here quickly here, like the first year classes are Tuesday and Wednesday. So you're here fewer days. Your second semester, you're only here on Tuesday. The second year, you have classes on Thursday only, and then on Thursday again in the spring. And then your summer session, you have the option if you want to take it the first summer here. Like, so after your first year, if you want to go ahead and take the summer classes, you can, but it's not required until your second year in the program. And then your final year in the program, actually you end up syncing with the regular 2-year track. So you will start with our program, if I didn't say before, our program is a cohort program, which means the students that you start with, you complete with, and you take all the same classes together. You do have to follow our program sequence. We're not set up where if you miss a class in the fall, you can retake it in the spring or some other time. They're only offered when they offered, and in the sequence that they're offered, and you have to follow that sequence. And I say that because that is different from other programs, and that might be a consideration for some of you. If you're in a 3-year program, the cohort you start with, you won't graduate with. But the advantage of that too is in your second year, you'll meet the new incoming cohort that you will be graduating with. And so your community just gets larger. So those relationships don't go away. You keep them, but it just grows and you have more people in community with and for support with. Okay, so that's just about the day-to-day of the program. I'm going to go a little quickly. Let me watch time. Okay, good. We're good. I'm going to go over briefly some of the other aspects of our program. One really important one is the Helen B. Landgarten Art Therapy Clinic. You see a picture of Helen there cutting the ribbon to the door that says Helen B. Landgarten Art Therapy Clinic. Our clinic is actually not a physical space where we see clients here on campus. We do have programs here on campus and we have our art studio on campus as well, but the clinic is considered wherever our services are. So wherever we're going to provide services or outreach or programs, that's where the clinic is. So it's not a physical space where people make appointments and come to see us, which they may have in other places as well. And then again, the clinic is where the first year practicums usually get their hours through. The clinic also provides supervision consultation for our supervisors, which is another special thing about our program, because it shows you like we want to continue training for the people who are training our students. And we also have consideration for the well-being of those who are responsible for training our students too. So that supervision consultation is open to both the clinical and art therapy supervisors, and it's where they get support for the work that they're doing with the students. One of our programs, a long-term program, is Thomas Riley High School therapy groups that started off as clinical support for pregnant and parenting teens. It has since expanded, so it's not only pregnant and parenting teens, but that's how we started out, and it's probably one of our longest running programs, in addition to our summer arts workshop that we have every summer. And one of the great things about the summer arts workshop is that those who go through the program and graduate come back and mentor other students that participate. And we've had a few that actually become LMU students as well too. So we start, we continue those relationships. Another one of our newer programs is art therapy for those with a cancer diagnosis, and we do that in collaboration with Cedars-Sinai Hospital. A really exciting program that's like a few years old is the collaborative divorce training with LMU Law. So our students and those who participate in that program actually work with law students to help families divorce. So they actually get these couples who are in the middle of the divorce to come in and work with the art, and they agree to this as well to participate to help with that separation and do this in collaboration with the law students. It's a really unique program. You can do, can do training through it. This is not associated with any practicum or anything at all. As a student, you are welcome to do the training for that program. And also M, by the way, is our Helen B. Landgarten graduate assistant and may know more about these things than I do and provide support for the clinic with all of these programs. We also have a program with the Veterans Art Therapy Group in partnership with Arts and Healing Initiative. And the most recent initiative is a response to the wildfires here in California. I forgot to check how many people we have from out of state or even out of country. But they are doing art and wellness groups in collaboration with Maple Counseling Center, who got a grant and they're working right now in Odyssey Charter Schools. And then we have our Art Therapy Research Institute. And I want to make sure I mention this because I also, from potential applicants, are also very interested in research opportunities. So the Institute has visiting scholars come in sometimes. We haven't had one in the past 2 years, but due to the funding and things, but we have visiting scholars. They have what they call faculty talks. So they have different faculty members from our program speak in the larger LMU community. And again, everyone is invited to that, where you get to talk more specifically about their work, either their clinical work or their research. And again, I want you to think of these things that I'm telling you as not just kind of things we do, but this is the extension of your education. You are encouraged to actually participate and attend these things to expand your education beyond the classroom. This is part of your learning and development as well. We have the Art Therapy Alumni Research Collective. So what you want to think about too is where's the support after you graduate? And we do try to maintain connections with our alumni after they graduate. And one of them is through the Alumni Research Collective. So sometimes it's hard to continue research when you're not still connected with the university or other major institution. And this group helps to support those who want to publish or do research, even after they graduate. We also have a journal here. We're going to be reviving the journal this year. I don't think we had an issue last year that was published, but we're going to be reviving a special issue this year. And then the other event, which all of you, I believe, would be welcome to attend, you just have to keep checking our website, is the annual research symposium. It's typically in spring. It's like in May at the end of our school year. And that is open as well if you want to attend that. Last year, we had tons and tons of clay that we were working with. And we invited Cornelia Elbrecht, who does a lot of sensory motor art therapy, was one of the co-presenters during the research symposium last year. And I want to say Cornelia's from Australia. I hope I'm not misrepresenting that. Other alumni efforts that we do have the Active Cultural Exploration Committee. That's the committee of alumni and faculty members who do different panels, art shows, workshops, meetups out in the community to help maintain those connections and support the department as well. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a minute just to make sure.
Yeah, I had a couple questions come up. One that just popped up was, can you tell how this program prepares post-graduation? Are there any considerations around being a practicing art therapist versus a regular LMFT therapist?
I'm sorry, I missed the first part. Can you repeat it again? It was just going in and out the sound.
Oh, yeah. Can you speak to how the program prepares to enter the field post-graduation?
I don't know why I'm not here. It's not going through all.
It's okay, Genya. She said, can you speak to how this program prepares students to enter the field post-graduation?
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yes. So, I mean, for one, like we said, you will meet and exceed all the educational requirements in order to then, once you graduate, to begin the process of applying for your license in California, but also for your art therapy registration. In addition to that, our strong practicum program and the support that's surrounding you while you're in the practicum is also providing, structure and education for actually your practical clinical work and helping you get different experiences. The fact that you have short-term therapy work, long-term therapy work, and then all the other opportunities that I mentioned to you through the clinic talk or through our symposiums and exposure to faculty or part-time faculty that are out there in the field working full-time um, helps you gain more and more experience for and skills for what it will be like when you're out in the field looking for work, and that you can add to your resume and looking for work as well. And also the fact that we have many of our alumni return and offer mentoring support and availability as well helps you keep those connections when you graduate looking for work, for keeping work, or just even for just professional support as well. And again, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Just one more.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There was another question talking about the international asking about the difficulties of gender nonconforming trans people traveling and what that would look like for a gender nonconforming person if travel is eliminated going forward by the.
Yes. So those are actually, I don't have answers to that yet. Those are things we're just in the middle of having to consider and figure out. And as things are kind of changing by the minute, um, all of that is taken into consideration, and how we're going to figure that out and make that possible. I mean, one thing right now is that the program is is hybrid. So part of it is you can do it virtually, and part of it will be on site. And again, those things can change too, because some of the changes come from in the past, from how many people have been interested in going into the program. And like I said, where the program has changed a little bit too. So that's a great question, and something that we're still working out the details of as we know what's what. And I get that's not a satisfying answer at the moment, but we're still gathering information and trying to figure that out. So we're not going to offer something that our students aren't able to actually participate in, and particularly not make it required if they can't. But what that looks like at the moment, I'm not sure of. But thank you for that question.
Yeah, I think that was all.
Okay. All right. So now we're going into the details of admissions. All right. So the admission requirements, there are some prerequisites. So, well, one thing, even though we're requiring studio art experience and some psychology experience, you do not have to have a bachelor's degree in art or psychology to apply for this program. It's helpful to you, but it's not required. Many people come to this field after being in other professions and at different times in their life. So in order to make sure that you're prepared for study here, we do have these prerequisites. These are not department prerequisites. They're actually required by the Art Therapy Credential Board. So you have to show that you've actually completed these courses before entering into a program in order to be in alignment with the requirements for credentialing. And so one is a minimum of 18 semester hour credits, or 27 quarter hour credits if you went to a school that's on a quarter system. There is an opportunity if you're studying under a particular artist and it's not in a traditional academic setting, you can count those studio art classes. It's just a different process. And I can always work with you on that. You just need to get a letter saying how many instructional hours you completed. And there's separate numbers for that. But again, it can count, and you can speak with me about how to translate some of those numbers so that it can be accepted. The other requirement for psychology is a minimum of 12 semester hour credits or 18 quarter hours. This is a little different than the art. So your psychology courses must have been completed in the last 5 years. And the reason why we have that is because information in psychology changes very quickly, and we want to make sure you have the most updated information and you're prepared upon entering into the program and have a strong foundation. So they must be completed within the past 5 years. If you reach the 6-year mark like that, you can email me and I will take a look at your course and you know whether we'll accept it or not. But you have to have documentation from me saying that I've accepted it if it's beyond the 5 years. You must have completed these courses and passed them for a letter grade. I know some institutions do not use GPAs or letter grades, and it may be pass or no pass. That will not work for these particular prerequisites, and you would be asked to redo those courses if you want to apply for this program so that you can show a transcript with the letter grade.
Quite a few questions.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Amen. So people were just that it was just the developmental and abnormal that need to be within the past 5 years.
Nope.
Or
All
oh,
12.
it changed. It changed. Okay, sorry to whoever I said that to.
Yeah. Yeah. All 12 psychology courses must have been completed within the last 5 years.
Okay, and then someone said, would I be able to apply for fall 2026 if I currently have studio art classes in progress?
Yes. So let me just backtrack for a second. So the psychology classes, the two that are required is developmental psychology. And if you've taken child, adolescent, or lifespan, that does count as developmental psychology. And then the other one is abnormal psychology. In some cases, programs called psychopathology, they use it in the same as abnormal psychology. If you've taken a psychopathology course, please send me the course name and description, and I can let you know if we can accept it for that requirement. Because in some cases, the content is the same and we can't accept it. So I just want to clarify that for the psychology classes, because this is the part where people get confused. So to make sure I answer the questions for this part. You can take the classes at any accredited college or university, including a community college. It does not matter to us if it's an in-person class or an independent study or virtual class, as long as they're able to provide you a transcript with the letter grade. And yes, for the prerequisites, you may apply by the deadline without completing all of them. But this is the caveat. In your application, there will be a prerequisite checklist where you list all the classes that you've taken, but you also need the classes that are either in progress or that you plan to take. So even if you're not taking it until the summer after you submit your application, let us know. I plan to take this in summer session at this university and for this many credits. We just need to know that you have a plan to complete these courses, and that's actually your intention. It's kind of like good faith, right? That you're going to complete these prerequisites. They just may take a little bit longer. So some people are completing these even after they've been accepted into the program, but they must be finished before you start the program in fall. You cannot start the program in fall 2026 if this part of your application is not complete. And it has happened before where someone did not have it complete and they had to defer enrollment. So that's the only thing. Yes, you can continue working on these classes and you want to just have a plan that you in reality can finish them before, if you're accepted, fall semester starts, but you cannot enter the program without completing this because it means your application is not complete. So this is one of the few parts of the application that may still be open and you're continuing to work on while we're evaluating your application. Even though, of course, it looks best the more complete your application is, you're not losing points and it's not counted against you that these things are not finished by the time you submit your application. We understand it's a lot and some people don't see and notice this program until a few months before the deadline, and they may not have any of these requirements, and so they need time to complete them. As long as you show us your plan to complete them, you're okay, and it does not count against you. Did I answer that question that was asked about prerequisites?
Yes. Yeah, there were some prereq questions. to the 5-year mark or specifics about their course listing, I them email you if it's kind of a unique
Yeah.
situation.
Yes, exactly. So if you have specific questions about your situation, please just email me. I do this all the time, so I don't mind it. Again, just send me the class name you have a question about. And in some cases, I will need the description, depending on what your question is. And you will have my email response as documentation of whether it's acceptable or not. And I can even sometimes get on a call if necessary to help clear this up, because this can be the most confusing part of the application, and it's a lot of courses. And so I don't mind answering questions about this, and you have time.
And I just put in the chat for everyone to see.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't need a bachelor's. That's not true, correct? These are just specifics in addition, or bachelor.
Oh, yeah. So you don't need a bachelor's degree in these areas. Your bachelor's degree can be in something else. As long as these prerequisites are complete, you're fine. And if you have questions about the studio art requirements, please ask me. So I should clarify that too. We do not accept art therapy theory or history in art. It has to be studio art, meaning you actually have art making, you're doing art making as part of the course. And the reason why that is because it's part of what you're doing as you're training as an art therapist. We just want to know that you have, and what classes you take, you have some leeway over. It's nice if you can include like drawing and painting and clay or ceramic work, the basic foundations, because we just want to see that you have some comfort level and some basic skills with using art materials, because those are your tools. So we just want to know you have some comfort level and prior experience. We're not looking that you are a fine artist or have mastery in these areas, but you have to show that you have some experience and comfort using different art materials or mediums. So moving on to the actual application. So for fall 2026, the application is due November 24th of this year. It is an online application. Please do not email any application materials to our office. They will not be looked at, and we have no place to store them. Everything has to be part of the online application. If you have technical things with the application, you want to direct those questions to graduate admissions. Again, technical things. If you have questions about the actual admissions requirements, I can answer those for you, or Tracy will answer them, the department, but technical things to the application, you may have to email graduate admission. And it's here, it just tells you how to look for it. So you want to click on the online application, look for the college. So it's the College of Communication and Fine Arts. Then you're going to look for our degree, Master of Arts in Marital and Family Therapy. You're going to have to include 2 recommenders. So when you can open, well, first of all, you can open the application and take your time completing it. So until you hit submit, we are not reviewing anything that's in that file. So if you decide to change something out, you can continue making changes up until you hit submit for the application. So you can open it up now. The application is available if you haven't looked at it already, and start looking at what's required. Again, it's open to you until you hit submit, and we're not looking at any materials you submit until then, so don't worry about that. There's no previewing your applications. And then when you open it or begin to fill it out, you want to make sure you have your recommenders' email addresses, because they will get an email from us where they will upload their recommendation. You won't be sending it to us separately. Let me see if I have it on the next one here. Oh no. Let's see, hold on. Oh no. So I'm gonna go over here. So other requirements is you will have an online interview. So as part of the application, we'll have a set of questions that we want you to respond to, and you're just going to record yourself answering them and upload it to the online application. There's also a portfolio of, and I'm wondering why, sorry. Oh, here we go. I knew I was missing something. Here, I skipped over it. So yes, so you have to have a BA degree, We do not require the GRE, but so I'm backtrack a little bit over here. That's starting at the top for admission requirements. So BA degree, we said it could be in any field of study. The GRE is optional. It doesn't look better if you have it than not. The only time we actually recommend that you consider doing the GRE is if you have a really low GPA from your undergrad, which could have been for any reason. You also will have an opportunity in your autobiography to explain what happened and why that's not a true reflection of your readiness for graduate study. So don't be discouraged by that. You have opportunities to talk about what happened there. But if you feel like you don't have anything that really shows that you're ready, you can submit GRE scores. And again, you can talk with me separately about that if that's something you're considering. Like I said, 2 letters of recommendation. You do not submit those. An email will go out to your recommenders and they will upload their information. Please make sure that they use some type of letterhead and sign their letters would be really helpful too. You have your autobiography there. Again, it's important in there. Just tell us whatever relevant life experiences you want us to know to get to know you as a candidate and how you came to be applying for this program. Whatever you think is significant in your personal origin story. Then we have the portfolio and statement. So you're going to pick at least 10 images in your portfolio. This is not for those of you who have gone to fine art school and have had to have portfolios that were critiqued. This is not that. So please don't worry about that part. In your portfolio, we just want you to put in samples of different types of art media that you've used, again, so that we see a variety. But also you want to pick pieces that mean something to you as well, that you feel like is a reflection of you personally or is a reflection of your work. We are not critiquing your skill in any of these things. You can make something right before you submit it. It doesn't have to be something that you did in art class or in art school at all. But you will be asked to pick one of those images and write a statement about it. So you want to be selective about what image that is. Again, what image it is, we're not judging, but how you speak about that image and why you chose it is what's more important to us. So again, if you don't come from a fine arts program or your relationship with art is maybe a little bit different than someone who's worked in art as a profession, do not worry about that. How we use art in therapy and what we're really looking for is how you communicate and express yourself through any type of art and how you're able to talk about it is what's important. One thing I want to say about this too, you can include like costuming and things like that as well too, that may not be kind of like the conventional studio art, painting, drawing, clay work. That's relevant and included as well. Just make sure, and photography can be included in this too, but just want to make sure you have a variety of other things. I've been asked before about if you do like dance or something like that, can you include a video? We do not have an option in our application to upload video media for this portfolio. A lot of people may come from more of a writing background. It's not really intended and set up. We are more of a visual arts program. Even though you may incorporate those things and they're of high value, you want to think more of visual art media when you're selecting things for your portfolio, because it's just not a way for us to read and look at those things in the application, practically speaking. So it's more about logistics. Like I said, there's the online interview, which you want to make sure that you answer the questions that we give you on there. And also you can re-record it. So again, until you hit submit, you can redo that online interview. I know that can be anxiety provoking for a lot of people to record themselves sometimes. Well, not for everyone, obviously, but if it is, don't worry about it. We're not looking at it until you hit submit. You can record it, re-record it 50 times if you want until November 24th, and until you feel confident with it. or maybe you want someone else to look at it and give you feedback, not us, but someone else in your life, and have it be the best reflection of you. And like I mentioned, the prerequisite checklist, please do not submit your application without the prerequisite checklist. Even though you're also submitting transcripts to show us that you've actually completed those courses, we need to see them in writing on the checklist, especially if those classes are in progress or you're taking them at a later date. We cannot take your word for that. I cannot take your email communication as evidence of that. We need it on the checklist because there are several people in the admissions process who are looking at your application. So just sending it to me does not mean everyone else will actually be able to look at it. And I do not hold on to your individual application information at all either. It has to be uploaded here online. I'm gonna pause there for a second.
Yeah, there was a few that I wasn't quite sure about. Some of them said if we plan to finish some prereqs after applying, should we send transcripts as soon as they're available, or can I transcripts after finishing all required prereqs?
I would send them as soon as they're available. I know there's also sometimes a cost to the transcript. So if you're completing multiple classes at one institution and want to send them all at the same time, that's okay to do so. But if you're taking them at different places, do not wait until the end to send them. Just send them in as you can.
Okay, and then someone else said, just clarify if your bachelor's is below 0.0, is the GRE the only way to offset that, or could strong grades in current completed before the program starts prerequisite courses help?
We will not look at current grades and prerequisites as offsetting the GPA. You can talk to me separately about whether or not you want to submit an application with the GRE or not, but it won't be like whatever your current grades are and your prerequisites kind of substitute the GPA. Again, if you're submitting an application with a GPA lower than 3.0, you also 3 point. You also have the opportunity to talk about that in your autobiography as well.
Okay, one said, any recommendations for the video or length, content focus, etc.? I believe there's questions that you have to answer.
Yeah, I would look in the application itself will give you specifics about that, which I don't have in front of me, so I don't want to give you misinformation. But there is a set of questions that you're required to ask, and there may actually be a time limit in there as well. But I think as long as you're responding to the questions, you're fine too. You just want to make sure you actually answer the questions that are there.
And then someone said, for career changers, what helps successful applications stand out? Volunteer work, completed prereqs, etc.
Good question. Yes, the more your application is complete, the better. The flip side of that is that we look at the application holistically. So we really do look at all parts of it. Not having all the prerequisites complete is not like counting against you per se, because we're looking at the application holistically. If you're coming from another career, that's okay. That's actually a lot of people that enter this profession are coming from other careers, so you're not alone in that at all. Or for those sometimes who have not been in college for many years, that's not counting against you at all. As long as you complete all the parts of the application. And yes, even though we don't require additional related experience, including volunteer experience as part of the application, if you have that and you feel like that would make your application stronger, please do it. Please include it and tell us about that. Any related type of personal or professional experience, yes, will make your application strong and stand out because, it shows your commitment to this field and what your maybe intentions or at least curiosities are in doing with this degree once you are complete with it, but it's not a requirement.
Okay. And asked earlier, this isn't related, but how many clinical hours in the program can we apply towards the 3,000 hours of licensure for licensure?
Oh, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I can send them to you. There's a certain number of hours. Well, I'll put it this way because I don't want to misquote the numbers. I want to say it's like at 750 or something like that total. But there's a certain number of hours that you're required to complete before graduation. Um, those are actually separate from the 3,000 hours after you graduate. So they will count towards your requirement for a licensure, but they are separate from the additional 3,000 hours you have to accumulate after you graduate for the MFT. So I should clarify that. For marital and family therapy requirement in California, you need 3,000 postgraduate hours. So the ones you're doing in the program don't count towards those hours. All of those have to be postgraduate direct client hours. Or sorry, not all direct client, but postgraduate hours. I think that's actually the question you were asking. So yeah, all the 3,000 number is postgraduate hours. For the art therapy credential, you have 1,000 supervised hours that are required. And those don't necessarily have to be separate ones. The ones you're doing for the MFT can quite often, depending on what kind of work you're doing, count towards the art therapy credential as well.
I think that was all of them. Someone asked about admission. I just a few weeks after the interview if you've been admitted to the interview, but I guess when did they find out if they got an interview?
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's go back.
Yeah.
And by the way, I just also want to introduce Trinity, another one of our graduate assistants in the program, has also joined us. Okay, so thank you for that question because that leads us to the next part. So there's an online interview that's part of your application that you submit, and there's a separate virtual group interview. So not everyone advances to the virtual group interview. So because we take our winter break in December, it's around January. So you submit your applications at the end of November. Our committee needs that month of December to actually look through everything that's been submitted. And then in January, those who have advanced to the virtual group interview will receive notification, and those who do not advance will also receive notification at that time. And then the interview itself is on February 7th and 8th. That is published on the website. That is going to be the weekend it is. So you want to plan around the possibility that if you advance, you will need to be available for these dates for your virtual interview. And we do it in groups. So you'll be assigned a day and a time. So you only go for one day, not both days. It is online. You do not have to meet us in person. And you work with one of our faculty members and they give you an art prompt and you talk about your art response in that group. And again, for this is to give you an experience of what it would be like in the classroom. And we also just want to see how you listen and interact with one another in a group setting, because that's a lot of the work that we do, but also how you communicate and express yourself through your own art. So it's meant to be fun, and I think most people enjoy it that are involved in that process. And in Kennedy, you can tell me if no, but it's not meant for us to psychoanalyze you or anything like that. It really is just to see your comfort level with being with other people. Because again, we really lean on this cohort model, and partially because you are each other's support in the program. You, as a cohort and your relationships with one another, kind of define the experience for a lot of people in the program. Is what your educational experience will be like. And so we want to, as much as we can, bring people together who are ready for that type of experience and feel comfortable with that. Because that's meant for you to start your support and development with each other as soon as you enroll in a program and not wait till after you graduate. And you will need each other's support. This can be an intense experience, a very life-changing one. but we want to make sure that we can, especially now, that we are able to sit in a place with people with different opinions and experiences and be able to interact on a certain level and um, show critical thinking skills and communication.
There were a couple questions about typically how many people apply versus who are admitted.
Thank you. So, the number of people who apply year to year changes. We don't typically talk about that number, and have you just more focus on putting the strongest application for it as possible. What I can tell you is that our cohorts are typically about 25 students. We may be increasing that number a little bit. So you are applying for about 25 spots in the program. And the reason for that is one, it works well as a learning model in the cohort. But another practical reason is just space, to be honest. Like the classrooms and space we have available right now at the university accommodates about that many student and not many more at this time. And so that's also a reason why we have. So it's about 25 and probably this coming year be 27 or 28 spots. But again, not much, we don't have a class much larger than that because we just don't have the space to accommodate. But not only space, the other reason too is because we ensure that you will have a practicum. We have to be able to have enough practicums to accommodate the number of students that we enroll in the program. So it's more of a practical thing where our numbers come from as well as far as that number. And sometimes you may end up in a class that maybe has less than 25 by the time you start, but that's usually maybe because people who intended to enroll couldn't at the last minute for personal circumstances, but we aim for a minimum of 25 students. Okay, let me answer that. Okay, so now I'm ready to do this. What's it going to cost me and what do I need to do? So right now the current tuition is $1,719 per unit. We are a 60 unit program. Sometimes I get questions about if you've started in another art therapy program, art therapy class, can those units transfer? And most of the time the answer is no. And it's because of how our program is set up. Typically, it would have to be a one-to-one match with another program, and that's not typically so, especially because our classes are integrated. There's not many other places where it'd be that same way. And so most people will have to enter knowing that they're completing all 60 units of the program. So you can calculate how much that would be. But there are opportunities for financial support. There's grants, there's scholarships. We have graduate assistantships. I mentioned there's quite a few in the fine arts department, but also we have Art Smart, and we have a few department assistantships as well. Once you enter the program, many of our students apply for the Department of Mental Health scholarships, CAMP or ADA. And I can say over the past few years, many of our students have actually applied and received those DMH awards. So that's additional stipends and money that you get in the program. And also throughout the year, once you start, money comes available sometimes. And so we're often giving out other departmental awards throughout the year. A few I've listed here. And I think I've hopefully made available the link. And you can look at now under the financial aid department, a list of the department scholarships. You cannot apply for them now because they're only for those who've actually been admitted into the program. But here's just a sample of some of the scholarships that are available. And there's additional things on that application, which again, you can look at. It's available online, even if you're not completing it right now. All right, that's my cue to wrap it up. Um, some additional information here. So again, financial aid questions, and there's going to be, please stay tuned to the end because we have Emily from graduate admissions who's actually going to put some information in the chat at the end about other sessions where they'll specifically be talking about financial aid. So you are getting that information this week tonight. So stay tuned for that. Other than that, you want to direct your questions to the financial aid office. And here's a contact as well. If you want to make note of that, of Jennifer Bond, who's the Associate Director of Graduate and Professional Programs, Financial Aid, if you want to speak to someone directly. I do want to say too, a lot of the department grants and scholarships, they're not intended to be like full rides and cover all of your tuition, but they are intended to help and support. And again, more money becomes available, excuse me, throughout the year as well. And the assistantships right now are between 10 and 20 hours and pay about $19 an hour. So they may or may not substitute some of the part-time work that you're already doing, but it's something to consider if you're preferring to have a job on campus. In many of the assistantships, not all of them, but some of the assistantships you're able to work independently. Others you have to be in person or on site. Also, what you're getting with your LMU tuition, besides a great education, is lots and lots of campus support. These are just a few of the organizations listed here. We also provide student psychological services and online mental health services through Timely Care, which is free to you as a student, as well as a lot of all these other supports as well. Student Affairs Divisions has these community hubs and special interest groups. So if those appeal to you, but you also have academic support, the Career Center support, disability support services. There's Graduate Student Association as well that's really active. So you can connect with other graduate students across campus as well. All right, here's just kind of for your information, some of the professional organizations. And again, I list them because there is other financial support through these other professional organizations, but also personal and professional support. CAMP often provides different groups that you can join, especially once you start your clinical training, to be with other therapists to see what their experiences are like and work through different issues. And you're not always required to be a member of that association to join those groups. So they have support groups as well. And again, their own scholarships.
There was a couple questions. A while back, someone asked if they can't travel internationally, what should they do? Like in terms of Mexico.
Those questions I would not be able to answer right now because that program is in the process of being developed. And if it becomes a part of a requirement, we will have to work around those things to make sure that everyone's able to participate in some form. Right now, there is a hybrid model where there's 1 week that's virtual and 1 week that's in person. But again, right now they're figuring out how many of the current class are interested in the program and what changes they're having to make. And so I wouldn't be able to respond to that at the moment, but those details will be working out. But please, actually, they're going to have an info session at the end of this month. Please email me throughout the semester to ask me more about that. And so once I have information, I'm more than happy to share it. I just don't have the details of that at the moment, and I don't want to give you the wrong information or to make something up about it. But yes, those are things we're going to have to figure out as a program. And as soon as I have the answers for that, I can share it.
And then someone asked, is LMU the only accredited college on the West Coast for art therapy?
No, there's one other program in California at Dominican College in Northern California. I don't think it's San Jose. It might be outside of San Jose, but it's in Northern California. I think Lewis and Clark in Portland is accredited. There's a program in Washington. Washington State. You'll have to double check that one. But if you go to the American Art Therapy Association website, they'll list all the schools for you. But yeah, in California, we only have 2 art therapy programs, period. But if you're looking outside of California, you may have other options. I think there's one in New Mexico as well.
And then someone else was asking about, where did it go? They might be placed at a juvenile hall working as a probation officer, and can they use these hours for like supervision? I said it would have to be supervised by one of the MFT people here for that likely to count.
Yes. So if you're already working somewhere else, those hours would not automatically count at
Yeah.
all. That's something that if you wanted to propose to our practicum coordinator, that might be an LMU practicum. It might be able to be worked out that way, but that really depends on a lot of things. Because she would have the information about what's required to be a practicum for our students, and what supports are available at that site. So it wouldn't automatically count just because you work there. It would have to be included officially and in contract with LMU. And that's to make sure you're actually are covered and you can count those hours and that you have full support there as an LMU student. Was there
We're all good. Yep.
okay, I think we're at the let's see. Oh, so getting near the end. Again, this is just we're on social media. So you can check our website. We have an events page there. Please email us at mfthdepartment@lmu.edu. Any questions specifically for me will get forwarded to me. Tracy can answer a lot of questions, but anything in more detail, like looking over courses and things like that for prerequisites, she will just forward to me and I will look over them and be in contact with you directly. We have our Instagram page. In fact, you'll see some new photos from the art therapy conference we just had in Portland, where a lot of our faculty and graduates were attending and also presenting, in our Facebook page. So take a look at that because a lot of our events are also open to the public. So even if you're not a student yet here, sometimes if you're still making decisions and want to get an idea of what it's like to be here, attend one of these events, including the faculty showcase will be listed there in the spring. And then I'm just gonna see if there's any more questions, and then we will get you the information for the next session.
So someone asked, is there more coursework in the art therapy program than in the standard counseling program?
I have not,
Are you referring to the LMU counseling program?
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
or do you mean like the marriage and family therapy versus art therapy requirements? Oh, maybe, yeah, if you could write in the chat, be more specific. Because
Yeah,
yes, there is a different counseling program here at LMU that's separate from what we offer.
I think it was Adam, if you're still here.
Actually, let me stop sharing. Oh, yeah, if that was your question. Oh, I was thinking of the other counseling program. I don't know, Emily, do you know anything about the other counseling program?
Yeah, if you're speaking of the counseling with the LPCC licensure, so that's 6 units also.
Hmm.
And then 600 hours of internship.
Okay.
So, and then if you want to do like the counseling with the LPCC plus the PPS and the CWA, I believe it's a few more credits. Maybe it's 63, 64. The other counseling program has like 4 different tracks you can take. So,
Yeah.
but the classic is 60 units.
Exactly. So our program prepares you for a license in Marital and Family Therapy. The other counseling program here prepares you for a licensed professional clinical counselor, I believe it is. Correct. Yeah, LPCC, yeah, licensed professional
Mhm.
clinical counselor. It's similar, but it's just considered a different licensure track. Like social work is a whole other license as well. But it sounds like it's a similar number of units required. The PPS, oh, I just forgot what that stands for. Something
The PPS is the
pupil,
pupil.
something pupil services.
It's to be a school counselor, so
Exactly.
working in a school. Yeah.
Exactly. And I know that used to be minimum 30 units. It sounds like it might be more to complete that, but in some school districts, it is required to be a school counselor. So that's what
Yes.
that is.
Yeah, PPS is 51 units, so
Oh,
a few.
no, 51.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's gone up.
Oh, wow. It was many, many years ago when it was 30. Yes.
Genia, there is a question about tuition remission in your program. Is there a list to get on for tuition remission? I'm not sure how MFT does.
Are you talking about the
Or
employment benefit for tuition remission?
correct.
Oh, okay. How can I answer that? So our program accepts if so yeah, so an employee benefit meaning like if you're an employee here at the university, um you can apply for tuition remission and not every degree program here will accept it. Our department will. What you have to consider for that is even though we'll accept it, that doesn't mean so much. You actually have to, I'm not sure with your different department, wherever you're employed, your department may have different rules and protocols for that. One, they may require that you have worked a certain amount of time to apply for that. I don't know if that's the case or not. You'd have to ask the department that you're employed by. And also your supervisor has to actually give you permission to do that. Um, and the reason
It
I'm sorry?
it appears that it's a spouse. So
Oh,
tuition remission applies to spouses also.
okay. Uh, you know what? I would have to look I don't know
Okay.
how
I'm
the
not sure how MFT does it either. So
yeah, I'm not sure 'cause I don't think it'll be necessarily MFT deciding whether they accept it or not.
okay.
It'd be more on the end of whatever the tuition remission process is, but we wouldn't say yes or no for
Okay.
that if that's how you're getting here. It would be more whether you can use that tuition remission or not based on the department's policy or the university's policy. But for us, if they say yes, you're fine. What I was referring to before is for employee benefits, because I've had a question about this before, and I just need to clarify as an employee, if you're wanting to use that benefit, you have to be released by your supervisor to use it. And the reason is our program is a day program. So each day that you're here in classes and at your practicum, you're not working for them. So that's an impact on their department, and they may have to find someone to cover you or things like that. So they have to actually they're the ones who have to actually give you the okay to do that, not the department. We have a few minutes if there's other questions. And again, you have the email. I'm available afterwards. A lot of time questions come up afterwards. This is a lot of information all at one time. We're tired, it's in the evening, so you may not think of anything till afterwards, and you will get the recording. So you don't have to worry about having to memorize anything or know anything leaving here.
So I'm going to put in the chat really quick. So we do have some sessions after this. We have financial aid from 6 to 6:30, and then we also have our international admission team presenting from 6 to 6:30. So if you are an international student, I highly recommend going to the international admission session. If you're a domestic student, attend the financial aid session. And then our career and professional development team will be presenting from 6:30 to 7. So if you want to learn more about, I know the student resources Genia touched on, but all of the kind of professional development opportunities there are at LMU too, they'll be speaking on it then.
All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Emily, for this opportunity and coordinating all of this each year. This is graduate admissions that does this for us. And so we're really, really grateful. Thank you, Em, and thank you, Kennedy, for joining and supporting us as well. Really appreciate it.